What's up, guys? Disclosure Artist here, and I am talking to you guys from the forest. This is the same forest that I shot my Light Warrior jumpsuit video in, where I was basically walking on a really busy trail with lots of families passing me wearing my suit, just trying to spread awareness because I saw something very similar with my own eyes in the middle of the night. Covert operation. They're basically dressed the exact same way. And I'm in a different location of the park right now, but I'm in the same park. And I'm just sitting on the side of a stream right here. And kind of just off the trail, trying to get away from people. There's always so many people here. And I don't want to have to be bothered by somebody, accidentally ending up in the shot and, all that. So, but basically I'm trying to talk to you guys today about spirituality. Lots of different types of spirituality. I tried to touch on this subject in my Freedom Earth Alliance video, but again, it was completely silenced. So I'm just going to make its own video, where I was talking about toxic spirituality, which is, somebody who says they want to pretty much not hear about anything that's negative. They'll say something like, stay in the light or stay positive, but, that's kind of just looking away from the problem. It doesn't necessarily make you strong. It just makes you kind of seem weak, because, shadow work is part of, light work. In order to solve problems, you have to first of all acknowledge what they are. So, there's a full spectrum of spirituality. And, I can't really go into greater detail about that because that's why my video was basically erased off of YouTube. So, I wanted to talk about how I think we're in the midst of a spirit war. Not just because of recent things that have happened in my own life. I mean, that's already speaks loud enough for itself. But also because things moving all around in the forest. Frogs are coming back to life. Yeah, it's really evident. I was speaking to my parents today and I was explaining to them about Mr. Politis and his recent unfortunate turn of events, and how I really do believe that there is a spiritual war. And one of the missing people that he reported about was a newly married or newlywed groom who, at his, celebration of his wedding, decided to walk halfway out into the ocean till he was about waist deep when his bride finally came and shook some sense into him and asked him what he was doing. And he came to. He said that he heard the voice of 20,000 women in his head promising him, bliss and whatever it was there. So I guess you could say he heard the song of the siren. Something crazy like that happened to my father when he was 18 years old. He was on the beach with a couple of his friends, and it was the weekend, and they observed a gentleman who was fully dressed in what my father describes as his Sunday best, basically in a suit, and they observed him walking into the ocean, which they found strange. Obviously, they thought, why would he do that? And they didn't realize what they were observing at the time, but until they heard screams, and they realized that this guy just walked into the ocean and essentially committed suicide right before their eyes. And so, what the exact details about that are, it's hard to say, but, it's very strange that, you don't know what you're seeing until it's too late, basically. And I wanted to also, on that note, mention that there is a history of ghosts in our family. In that case, that guy might have just, been unwell mentally. But again, what he heard in his head to make him do that could be a subject of anyone's speculation. But when my parents lived in their first apartment together, when the apartment essentially that I was born in, my mother basically, I believe, was sitting on the couch in the living room, and she felt I guess like a wind kind of circulate her, and it smelled like lilies of the valley. And they found out that the woman who used to live in that apartment had died, and that was her favorite perfume. And this is not the first time that this sort of thing's happened to my mother. Another time, because I used to live in a haunted house. I used to live in Amelia Earhart's old summer house. And I actually went to the bartending school out there when I was a teenager. I paid for the course, and the guy who used to live in my house when he was a kid also experienced ghosts in that house. When he was a little kid, he remembers going to the third floor landing and seeing a bunch of old ladies having tea in the middle of the day. Of course, there weren't any old ladies living in that house, or rocking chairs or any of those things there, but he saw it all happen. And I remember when my parents were getting ready to move out of this house. This was a very large house, historical house. My mother remembers walking through the doorway of the bedroom, and she felt a very, very cold mist pass through her body, and it just froze her to the core. And it was, like I said, on moving day, and around the same time, they were basically trying to turn off their water heater, and they had like their last stick of furniture already moved out, and they went back to close the door to the basement. And when they went to the front door, the door had opened up again by itself, as if it didn't want them to go. So then when they finally went back to close it a second time, the water heater in the basement exploded, and there was a giant leak all over the floor. Coincidentally, of course, the exact day they're trying to leave. It's like something out of American Horror Story. But that really is the extent of the supernatural there. But the house was built in 1907. Like I said, Amelia Earhart, I believe, was married in that house. I think it was her summer house that she went to visit her aunt in. And of course, you guys don't need any further explanation about the mystery that is that woman and her disappearance. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Some spirituality and how it's linked into my family. Alright, that's all for now. Take care.